I'm Jennifer from the Worcester branch of the Wayne County Public Library, and for today's Tuesday Crafternoon, I would like to show you how to brighten up your springtime with hand-stitched flower cards. Now they're fairly simple to make. Most of the time I think comes from first punching the holes and then just this repetitive up and down going all the way around. But it can turn into a very soothing sort of stitching project, and you can get very creative with it. So what you're going to need for these will be a sheet of cardstock that's cut in half horizontally so that you can make 2 cards. There are patterns available for stitching patterns like this, and I will be making take and make kits that include this particular pattern and what you'll need to make 2 cards. I find it's very helpful to have a piece of scrap cardboard to put underneath the card and the pattern when I'm poking the holes, because as you can see, the beading awl goes very deeply. You'll also need a beading awl or a regular awl, something with a sharp point for poking your holes. You'll need a couple kinds of embroidery floss. I usually like to have something like a red or pink or orange or purple for the petals and some variation on yellow for the center. You'll also need a needle and scissors and some tape, usually cut into smaller pieces than this, and I'll show you why. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set your cardboard here where you're going to work, and you'll open up your piece of cardstock, and just kind of center it there on your cardboard, and then you'll put the pattern over it and take the awl to punch holes where all of the holes are indicated on the pattern. That takes a long time to do, so I'm not going to do that here. I have already started one. We're going to ignore the fact that I've already filled in the inside because I'll show you to do that later. Usually I would do that second. But to do the petals around the edge like this, what I'm going to do with my thread, and what I've done here is taken 3 strands of embroidery floss. There's no knot at the end. And I'm going to open up, and every time we make these petals coming out, I'm working from the center out. This isn't one where you could go from one point out, go to the next point and come back, because you can't keep coming from the same point stitch after stitch. I can't come down here, bring this back, and then come right back up to do this stitch. That's what I mean. So I'm just going to continually come up from this center point and stitch out to the edge, come back to the center, stitch to the edge, and so on until I have filled in a petal, and then I'll move to the next center hole. So with this card, I'm going to start here. And I'm going to pull that tail almost all the way through. And like I said, it's not knotted. What I'm going to do instead is take a small piece of tape and tape it down. That way it stays in place, but you don't have the extra bulk of the knot. So then we'll flip it over, and since I've come up from the middle, I'll come down here at one edge of the petal and pull through. Go up again at the middle. Oops. That can happen if you're using a fairly long strand of floss. So we'll just work that knot out. and then do the next one. Now, as you'll notice, as you continue along one petal and you keep coming up from the same point, it's going to get a little bit bulky there. So you want to be careful how you bring the needle up. And I keep working a little further over and sort of angle my needle towards the point, the edge where it's still not finished, just so that when I come up, I'm not getting things all tangled up here at the bottom. That can happen really easily. Let me show you here. With this particular one, it gets a little bit tangled at the bottom. It's not bad. It's just if you want things to look a little neater, you want to be a little more careful of where you're bringing up your needle. So that's one petal done. And now I'm just going to move over to the next center hole and come up. And I'll do it all over again. I've run out of thread, or out of embroidery floss, so I'm going to take that tail, and again, instead of knotting, I'm just going to tape it down in place, and then I'm going to trim the end. And then I can just start anew and keep going all the way around the circle. I'm not going to fill that in right now because that does take quite a bit of time. So what I'm going to show you instead is how, once you've gotten all your petals done, you then fill in that center. And there are different ways that you can do this. The wonderful thing about having a circle in the center is that you can decide how it looks. The main idea is you're going from one hole to another and repeating that same pattern all the way around. So in this case, what I've done is started at one hole and gone over 3 holes. And then you come up the next hole, go back 3 holes, go over 1 hole, go forward 3 holes, and so on, going around. So that's going by 3s. And then in this one, we're going by 4s. So the hole comes, you come up this hole and go over 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Skip ahead 1, go back 4, ahead 1, forward 4, and so on, going all the way around. Or You could do one, nope, that's another 3. So what I'm going to put into the instructions and what I'm going to show you right now is just going by 2s. That's a little bit easier, and I will show you why. So I'm just going to choose one hole, go ahead and run my needle through. And again, I'm going to tape that down. To hold it in place. Now, if I just want to go 2 holes over, I'll go down here. And then I'm just going to go back 1 hole. This is a little easier to keep track than the others. Again, I go over 2 holes and back 1. It's easier because you're doing the same thing every time. You go over 2, back 1, over 2, back 1, over 2, back 1, until you have finished the pattern. The other ones, you really kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing. But I would definitely encourage you to give it a try because it's a lot of fun. And I'll show you some of the different effects that can have once we're done with this one. At this point, the stitches are joining up at the top, but it's not quite finished. We need to make sure we do that last, back, and across 2 to finish the pattern. And then again, we'll just go to the back, pull that extra thread over, tape it down, and trim the end. And there you go. We've got a nice flower card for spring. Now, once you get the hang of doing this, and if you like stitching, you might find it kind of addictive, like I do, you can have some fun getting creative. So like I said, you can vary how many stitches you go across in the middle. So we've got, you're going across 2 stitches, or 2 holes. This one's 3, this one's 4, and you can see the different effects that they have. You can also start blending some colors. For instance, with these petals, I did 2 strands of a darker thread, darker floss, and 1 strand of a lighter one, so that you can see it's almost got a sort of striped effect to it that catches the light very nicely. You can also try different colored cards. I really like how these turned out on a very dark navy. It almost looks like multi-petaled daisies. Again, you can see same threads, same flosses, but because that center is different, it gives you a little bit of a different effect, which I really like. And then you can combine things. So here's one where the petals are 2 different shades of orange. And what I've done with these cards is not only have I gone around once with 1 pattern, so for example, this one, the bottom layer is going across 2 holes. Then I've gone around another time, this time going over 4 holes. So you get kind of a building up pattern. With this one, it started off going over 3 holes and then 5 holes. So I really love the almost multi-dimensional effect that ends up having. And then, if you're still wanting to have fun with this pattern, what you can do is, instead of poking all of these holes around the edge for the petals, you poke out the center ring, so the center ring here, and then just the middle hole going around for each petal. Because then what you can do are some really cool geometric patterns. And these are ones that I've done where, I start off with going over 2 holes all the way around, going over 3 holes with a slightly different color, going over 4. And on this one, I think I even went to 5. It's really kind of fun how you can build up that kind of color spiral. You really just have a good time with this. I have not gotten bored with this pattern yet, so I hope you can think about different ways that you might want to modify it for yourself. So that's all I've got to show you here for making these flower cards. As I said, I am going to have some take and make kits available at the reference desk. You can register for them through the library calendar of events on our website, or you can stop in at the reference desk and sign up for it there, or if we have any left over, just request them at the desk. You'll have the instructions, you'll have all the materials you need to create 2 cards, and there will be a link to this video so that if you need a little help, you can come back and see where you need to change up whatever it is you're doing. In the meantime, I hope you stay healthy, have lots of fun trying something new this spring, and get creative. Bye-bye.